on straightening up. Okay.
You got everything straightened up.
You know, I'm trying to put my junk back in boxes and put on it. You know what I mean? I had like 5 or 6 battery chargers time I got done. I don't know where I got them. Well, they're on sale.
I had about that many, but mine disappeared.
Well, the problem is they come on sale on Temu.
And you buy it. Yeah.
I have to buy it. It's
Yeah,
on
you have
sale.
to, it's on the deal, man.
Yep. If I didn't need it, why would they put it on there? I mean, why would they put it on sale? That's like when I go to the store and I come back with all these cans, and Janice says, "Why is it?" I said it was 4 for this or 2 for that. I was supposed to get that many, I guess.
Yeah, when it's on sale.
I don't know what to do, Charlie. I don't have it figured out.
Buddy, I don't either. I stopped over at Matthews yesterday. I didn't even know it was over a few months ago.
Yeah, Colson, they do a lot of stuff.
They stop over
online. They bid on stuff all the time.
They're getting ready. Oh, yeah, they bid on stuff online. I ain't never done that online, but
they bid on everything.
They're getting ready on to have their Black Friday sale.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready yesterday. They didn't have much stuff.
Yeah.
They're just getting their store ready.
Right.
They had some racks for sale. I wished I'd have bought them.
Yeah.
Clothes racks, you know, they hang my clothes.
Right.
$35 a piece, some good ones.
Huh.
I could have probably sold them for $75. I should have bought them.
Well, all right. I'm glad to have my buddy Charlie Absher with me here today. And
yeah.
Charlie's like an older brother.
Yeah, just older, a little bit.
Charlie has me and Charlie been together for a long time,
Yes.
and you know, I've known him. I don't know how long I've known him.
We don't even have a clue.
I can't even keep track of that. I don't even know. But
that's irrelevant now.
It don't make any difference. You know what I mean? It don't. Once you get past a certain point. But anyway, I was introducing Charlie to the shed. And there's a world of stuff in here when you look around. And I like my levels up there. You know, you always can't keep track of that stuff, can you?
No, I can't keep track of it.
I got now to where I've done rather well.
Yeah.
Crescent wrenches. Why would a man need that many crescent wrenches?
I just don't know what you do with that, man.
No, every time you use one, you'll throw it away. You'll just throw it away and get rid of it. And bungee cords. And I've got stuff in here. I've got the world of stuff. And it just... And I love to watch when they come in. Lawrence Hayes come in the other day, and I could see him looking around, and he was looking around. Mickey Hale, he liked it. He looked around.
I go and see Pastor Mickey did.
He looked all over the place. They get to look at stuff, and I got some stuff in here that I stole off Colson.
Oh, you did?
And I brought him in, and I show him around. He don't know it.
He don't know.
He'll look at it, and I've got these magnets hanging over here. They're like you hang your tools on.
Yeah.
Usually those are useless. But
Yeah.
I went over the other day, and he had some in his shop on the wall, and he was gone to work. So I said, he don't need them. I just took them off. I just got them. I get that stuff. I figure.
That's why we used to put our tags on our cars. We had them.
Yeah,
black
I remember that.
About 6 inches.
I remember that.
Yep.
I get them along, and they turned out pretty. Worst thing I done was put one in my toolbox up on the lid. I thought, I'm going to put that in the lid. Every time you shut it, everything falls off. It falls off down in the bottom. I think that wasn't too good an idea to do.
That wasn't as good an idea as you thought it was.
Yeah. Something handy I keep my sawhorses handy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because, you don't use them. You'll cut on the tailgate, won't you?
Yeah.
Or you'll cut on an old piece of something out there. And I said, I make myself. When I go to anything out of wood, I get my sawhorses out, open their little legs up, and put them out. I said, I'm going to do it.
You can go right after the engagement.
I'm sick of that, The other day we were working on some stuff, and I had just some little boards I need to cut. And Colson, we got the circular saw and DeWalt all the stuff over in the shop, and I said, no, I gave him that hand saw. I said, you put that there together. All them saws we got. He said, you going to make me use this hand saw? I said, yes, you use that hand saw. You don't need that. Take it over in the shop and use some old circular saw.
You get him a cross cut before long.
I got one up here. I got two. I got a big one and a little one.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah. All you got to do. I think the handiest thing I keep in the shop is this little finishing nailer.
Oh, yeah.
I got a compressor down here plugged up.
Yeah.
I keep plugged up, and I drop that thing, anything I'm working on.
Yeah.
Especially like if I'm trying to hold a board in place.
Yeah.
Like when I'm working on something, pow, pow. I hit that little finishing nailer.
That's neat, ain't it?
And I showed Jimmy this other day. See them batteries?
Oh, yeah.
I've got on my batteries, I take them out of everything in the winter.
Yeah.
And I've got a cable run outside. I got a solar panel.
Oh,
and
when-
a trickle charger on the
Yeah.
solar panel.
yeah,
And it sits there, and I hook them in series, several of the batteries together,
yeah.
and just hook them on that trickle charger.
And it'll keep them charged for
Keeps them charged up.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
that
idea.
way, because batteries are expensive.
you. I had to buy one when I was hunting the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
I had to buy one in my truck, and it's is it AMG or what are they called?
I don't know.
It was $274.
I know
for
it
the
takes a
battery.
special one for these new ones.
And it,
Mine, I got me one of them $89 ones from Walmart.
I couldn't. I went up there and they said, "Well, it takes this special battery." I said,
Yeah, they tell me that, but I put my special.
Well, I looked at this one. I said, I had been in there since the truck was new. So I said, well, you know what I found? My truck has that automatic starter on it. You ever seen
Oh,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Well, it hadn't been working for a while. And the reason why is I believe the voltage had been low on that battery.
It could have been.
When I put the new battery in, it started doing it again for some reason. It started shutting off, starting back up.
Sometimes they'll reset the computer in them too when you
Yeah.
hook that battery.
Could have been it.
Yep. And who knows? It's mystery. It's working, so that's what works.
I don't know.
As long as it works.
I try to work with that stuff. I try to keep it all running because I ain't planning on buying no more. No more.
I believe you got more now than you'll use.
Let me ask you this question. When is the last time you ever bought a new car?
Oh, the last new car I bought was for my son. It wasn't for me.
Well, I ain't talking about for him. I'm sure you got tricked on that, but I mean for you.
God. I don't know if I've ever. Oh. It was a 71 Super Sport Nova. The last car I bought. 71. That's
My
true.
Lord!
That's back.
That's back when gas was a quarter.
It wasn't that much. It was about 18 cents, and that's when they had those gas wars.
Right.
It's 28 cents. 28 cents.
All right.
Because I remember I was working in Pulaski and living over there then. And that's when they doubled it. They doubled it. They went up to about 60 cents.
Right.
You know, they had them odd and even days where you
Right,
had to
right,
get your gas.
right. Well, we'll talk about some things in a little while, but right now, see, I'm going to tell you something. I've talked to a lot of car salesmen, okay?
Yeah.
I'm in Mike Muncie and Jimmy Dickens. I
must be
get
your
these car
special.
salesmen fall through here for some reason. But anyway, and I was asking, we were talking about your finances, and I said, the thing that car salesmen got over a lot of people is they know that new car ain't worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called, whatever it's priced at,
Yeah.
it ain't worth it.
No, it ain't.
You're better to wait till somebody's lost their back end
That's right.
and then get that car.
That's right.
Okay?
That's what I always try to
And
tell
the
them.
biggest thing in your life on your finances is car payments.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, the biggest thing that plagues people and buffets people is they got this big old car payment,
Yeah.
okay, on something that ain't worth it.
Yeah, it sure ain't worth
And
it.
it's good if you're selling them, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Okay?
Yeah, it's good.
But I mean, the thing you run into, the thing you guys on your finances are smart about, because you know when you see car salesmen, most of them are driving something with 100,000 miles on it.
Like me.
Okay, because they know. But most people in their life, they if you'll say no way I'm 10 years is a minimum when I'm going to keep that thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then if you just want to do a different color, then but when you go with that new car, you're really getting a whammy on you.
Yeah, you are. You used to lose about $10,000 on the truck.
Right.
Cars 5,000, 6,000. Of course, you took them off the lot because they're used.
Yeah.
It done been titled, so
Right.
that had to be. They were used vehicles. So that's the reason I said, it's crazy to buy a new car. I mean, for me it would be.
Yeah.
Because I know better.
Yeah.
I've had that experience. And,
Yeah.
to buy a new car is just that's the worst waste you've ever done. Unless you got plenty of money.
It is.
And plenty of prestige. You just want to be seen.
Cool. Yeah.
And you can tell, well, look at me. I don't care who sees me. You didn't read the book.
No, I didn't read no book. I threw the book away.
That's what I usually do. Start
First
with,
thing,
then have to go hunting.
I throw the book away. And anyway, Charlie, let's talk about growing up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about growing
Okay.
up in your life. Where did you grow up at?
Well, I was born down below Red Ash, down below Raven, Virginia is where I was born at.
Okay.
And I lived there till I was 6 years old. Then my mom and dad bought up Claypool Hill. And I've lived at Claypool Hill basically about all my life right there.
Huh.
Yeah. So I grew up there.
Where else did you go to school at when you was a boy?
I went to Cedar Bluff the first 2 years I was in school. And then they transferred us to Pounding Mill. The school had 2 grades in each room. Had third and fourth grade together, and fifth and sixth.
Right.
So you I went out there to the 6th grade. Then we had to go to Cedar Bluff. And I went there in the 7th grade. And back then, the high school had so many kids, they had to have 2 shifts of school.
I never knew that.
Yeah, they had 2 shifts of school. We went of the evening, and like the 10th, 11th, and 12th, they went of a morning.
Huh.
Yeah, we had 2 shifts of school.
I never heard of it. Like
They did. When I was in the 8th grade,
Gee
till they got the middle school built. Then after they got it built in the 9th, 10th,
Spread 'em out.
all of them come up. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think about
That's
that.
the reason they called it senior high.
Huh.
Yeah. Back then.
Yeah, so when you're growing up like that's pretty
Yeah, we
cool,
had
ain't
2
it?
shifts at Richland.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure did.
that's pretty neat. I think about a lot of times growing up like that, and you think about memories and things that you went through and things that you done when you was a boy. What are some things that stand out when you was a boy that you really remember doing?
Gosh, I got so many things that I've done, and a lot of them I shouldn't have done.
Well, I had a guy in here that shot himself in the leg the other day when he's a little boy, and he set the mattress on fire in the bedroom. So you're probably okay.
I believe I know who that is.
Compared to him, you're okay, I'd say.
I ain't near the man he is. I see that. I believe I know who you're talking about.
So, some things you shouldn't have done's all right.
Yeah. But anyway, I didn't. I guess I just hunted and fished by myself most of the time, just kind of like I do now. I just kind of growed up like that because all my family. I was the youngest when I was 9 of us, and so and my nearest brother was 7 years older than me.
Right.
So when I got 10, he was done up. So
gone.
I kind of just growed up kind of by myself and kind of done kind of what hunted and fished. When I was a boy, I'd ride my bicycle fishing out Ordell, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go groundhog hunting, and I remember one time, I went groundhog hunting and sneaked off on Sunday. I went groundhog hunting.
Right.
And my dad caught me. He said, "Man, they didn't believe I'm hunting on Sunday.
Right.
You didn't do nothing on Sunday." I never did get but one whipping from my dad.
That was over that?
That was over going hunting on Sunday.
Yeah, whipped over a groundhog.
Groundhog, yeah. And didn't even shoot one.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, when you think about school, tell me about the school you went to. Tell me some things that was interesting. What all was it? How was it?
I really liked school. I liked my teachers and stuff. They was, there's always we always got along with my teachers, except a couple of them.
Yeah.
And, then I had to go to summer school with them too. You remember that?
Right. No.
But anyway, that's beside the point. But most of them, I really liked them. We got along good. And I remember when I was 13 years old, I had an accident fishing. Me and my brother was fishing up Big Tillman, and he got hung up, and I was baiting my hook, and about the time I looked up, that sinker hit me straight in my eye.
Gee.
It went out right like a light. And I had a lot of trouble over that up till I got about 16, and then they kind of got me fixed up, and didn't have more trouble until later on in my life. But that was one thing. That slowed me up a lot.
Yeah.
That happened when I was 13, and then I got to come back and start playing football again when I was 16. So, kind of got that, but I was tied up with a lot of operations and surgeries and things like that. But that's one thing that really sticks out,
What do you think about it? And I know of two boys in my life. I know one boy, Billy Wagner, that they were fishing and a snare hook come back and hit him in the eye. And then another boy, Jackie Beavers, that when we was real young, he had one of those springs that's in a shade. Yeah. Somehow he'd come up and hit him in the eye. You don't think about that, do you?
No, and bungee cords, you got to really watch those things. The guy that...
Oh, it gives me a chill bump.
Yeah, I mean, really, because I was talking to a guy that does prosthetic eyes, the guy that done mine fix it. Most people don't know it, but, now I guess they will. But anyway... But anyway, he told me that this guy one day, he come in there and he a bungee cord had knocked his eye out like that. When he come back about 6 months later, and he put the other one out with the bungee cord. But I watch them bungee cords. I tell you, they're dangerous.
Yeah, they will. They'll come loose.
They'll come loose and they'll hit you.
Nope. They'll come loose and hit you. But see, you don't think about your eyes, okay, when you do that stuff. I mean, you're doing something, and you'll pick up a saw, and go to cutting, okay. You don't think about the stuff like that. You don't think about it.
But anymore, the first thing I do is put my glasses on. Yeah. The last thing I do is take them off. That's it right there.
Yeah, it's
You
smart.
know.
And this is what you do. You think, I'm just going to cut this board.
Yeah,
I'm
baby,
just
it'll
gonna-
take me
I'm
but a
just gonna-
minute.
I'm just going to do this right quick.
Yeah.
It happens that fast.
Yeah, that's how fast
know.
things happen. I mean, you know, if we'd been fishing and stuff, and all of a sudden I just looked up and bam, right there. I remember even seeing him jerk it while I was baiting my hook, you know, and I looked up and I got it baited. Hit me right square in the eye.
Gee
Man.
whiz.
But, you know.
accidents,
Yeah.
stuff happens like that.
Yeah, it
you know.
does. Crazy things.
I was, they sent me to vocational school when I was young because they knew I wasn't going to be no doctor or surgeon. Okay, I was in junior high. They sent me to vocational school in the 8th grade, so I got a head start on it. I mean,
Yeah, they put you
I
in
was
head
well
start.
educated the time I got out. I had a degree in welding, sheet metal, and carpentry. I was definitely going to be a tradesman.
There's probably something like that.
One time I was chipping some slag. I was welding, and I was talking, and a piece of slag went under my tongue.
Oh, man.
And I'm gonna tell you, I thought I was gonna die.
Oh.
I couldn't get it out of my mouth fast enough. It
Oh,
burnt into
it's
underneath
burning
my
in
tongue.
there, yeah.
But stuff happens. These
Yeah, it's
accidents
crazy
happen so
things.
quick.
You know, I was thinking the other day, most of the people is killed with crazy things that happens to them.
Yeah.
Most of the people, I believe, really.
Yeah. But you
It's
don't know
because-
they're crazy when you
No,
do it.
you're not thinking. You don't. I used to work with the guy. He never thought what the opposite was going to be, the reaction to what he was doing. You know, never think about what was going to happen.
Yeah.
If I tie this, what's it going to pull away from me?
Right.
You know, but that's just the way things happen that way. It's really crazy.
And
Crazy.
and back then too, you would let your kids do things that really was more dangerous than people. I mean, I was working. My dad had me working in an old building one time. He bought an old building. We were tearing it out. And I was up on the 3rd floor, and I was tearing his the floor was all wet, had no roof and stuff like it. And I was on the 3rd floor, and all of a sudden I went to the 2nd. Okay, that's went right straight through the floor. Okay, I mean, it roughed me up. And if I'd been big as I am now, it'd kill me. I'd have went to the basement. Okay, but stuff happens.
It's crazy.
These accidents. And I don't know how you can try to be careful. You should always try to be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, but by the time you learn to be careful, you're old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're old because you've learned about doing it, and you've got hurt enough times. And then you start thinking ahead. With
I
age.
taught a safety class a lot for the company, and when I would teach it, a lot of times I would teach on, first thing I teach on your hands, not getting your hands in a bad position.
Yeah.
And I would always teach when you're loading equipment, I said, when that man goes to load that dozer, you get out of there. You don't have no business standing near it.
Get slide
I
off.
said, get it, because I've had them slide off.
They will.
Bulldozers slide right down off that track,
metal.
off a low boy or off a track,
Well,
just getting it. And you're thinking, what in the world? And I've been on them before.
And
it starts, you try to act cool when it hits the bottom, boom. But you ain't thinking that the whole time. You're thinking, you're holding back on. You're holding back on both
they're
levers.
going to go over a high wall.
You got your brakes on. You're holding back. Shoo.
I know of them sliding on ice too. It's like a sled. Those runners on those.
It
tracks.
is. We tried to put rubber on them. One time I was hauling diesel fuel to a coal mines. And back when I was making 1.75 cents a gallon. That's what I was making. I was hauling diesel fuel up to a coal mines, and my cousin Dwayne was with me. And I was going up the hill, snowing like a banshee. Okay, I got up at the top of the hill, and all of a sudden, it stopped. So I told him, I said, how about getting out and going up there and get the loader and hook to me, pull me on up here. He got out and walked right in front of the truck. About that time, that truck took off backwards. Like a sled, 3,000 pound of diesel in the back. It took off just a flying backwards, all wheel slide. And then it spun around and started back down frontwards. And I rode it right out of holler.
It's too slick for you, man.
Yeah, and I turned that sucker around and I said, listen, I'm gonna blow this thing up. I'm gonna get up a hill this thing. I took off flying and I got up there.
You got up there.
I had that thing digging. I dug it. I said, I'll spin the wheels off this sucker. But we're getting, it's crazy. You shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But accidents and things that you think about stuff growing up, the stuff that you risk your life doing.
And you got by with it.
Yeah.
Where some people didn't. That's the thing about it.
Yeah, the ones that didn't are gone.
I mean, I come in one morning. I'd been muzzleload hunting, deer hunting, come in and set my gun down in the office, and all of a sudden I just pulled it back. I must have thought I was outside.
Yeah.
Shot a hole through the ceiling. My office.
Lord.
My car lot office.
Lord.
There's a big hole that big through my. You can see the daylight. I had to get the carpenters to come fix it.
Gee whiz.
I just pulled the trigger back and shot. Right in the office. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, you look back on crazy stuff like that happens to you.
Well, I had a friend who had a revolver in the closet. Opened the door and it fell out and hit the ground and went off.
Oh yeah, they will. If they got a hammer on them, they'll go off.
Shot and went off.
Yep, sure will.
Accidents.
Yeah.
How can you keep from having them? I don't know.
I don't either. That's the reason they call them accidents.
I don't know. I just, it's driving. You can have them. That's everything you're doing. You can think about growing up the stuff that almost killed you.
Yeah, I mean things that you were so close to it.
Yeah.
I've been close to it a lot of times. Things happening.
Yeah.
And it's just God watches over us and stuff, protects us. If we don't have sense to take care of ourselves, I'd say.
I think about that. I think about things in our life that we go through and the challenges that we have. So when we talk about challenges as a young boy, and I know you're talking about you got hit in the eyeball, that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
But what were some other challenges you felt like that you run into as a young boy?
As a young boy, I run into, I just, I most of the time really, I just took things as a challenge. If there's something out there that I wanted to do bad enough,
right.
I would do it. I mean, I'd condition myself to where I could do it.
Right.
Just like, when you. I was always competitive in everything I done.
Right.
I didn't want to get beat. I hate to lose. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat.
Right.
If you play with me, I want to play to win. I don't care. I'd like to win. That's what I did. That was a challenge, if I hunted, I wanted to kill a bigger deer than you did.
Right.
If I went fishing with you, I was gonna catch more fish than you. That's the challenge. And see, I done a lot of that mostly when back then we didn't have all this stuff going on like we do today.
Yes,
we didn't have places to go. We had to go somewhere close.
Right.
Fishing the river, but that's the challenges, and life itself is a challenge. You look out when you're young and you think you're going to be able to do all this, and you got to have a plan. I don't care. You need a plan. Mm-hmm. No matter how young or how old, you still got to keep playing. Because we may live a little bit longer, or we may not live as long.
Right.
And when you're younger, you look out and you say, "Well, I'm going to become this." Some of them says they're going to become a doctor or this and that. That's the challenge, but. I worked when I got 16. I got a job at A&P, and I worked for them till I was about 22. But I always wanted to be a manager, and I worked to do that.
Right.
And I did, Yeah. And that was a challenge to me because I wanted to do that. And then, after I'd done that, I decided I wanted to. I lived up Pulaski. That was a few years I lived over there. I didn't live at Claypool Hill then.
Right.
But then I moved back. That's when I started driving a coal truck. And, that was a challenge. I had never drove a truck.
Right.
You get 40 ton pushing you down a mountain.
Right.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. You have to learn pretty fast, don't you?
Yeah, it does. That is a challenge, I promise you.
Yeah.
I drove a truck for my brother Troy there for about 5 or 6 years, and then I bought my own trucks, and that was definitely a challenge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anybody's ever pulled something like that is a challenge.
I think as you think of in your life growing up as a boy, the challenges. I mean, I'm not. One of my faults are I've never been real competitive.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, go ahead and win if you want to. Okay, you know what I mean? I don't
Not
know.
me.
I know. And see, my kids are not like my kids now. If we play a game at Christmas,
oh yeah,
it's a fight. You've been there, okay? You've been there. Charlie's been with us at Christmas. And we do Chinese Christmas, and I'm telling you something. They'll take something. They take stuff away from my mom and dad. Their grandkids would. They don't care. Okay, it's competitive.
Yeah.
Okay, like we need anything. Okay, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I just never have been real competitive. Against myself, I may a little bit. That's why when I go bowling, I'm pretty good the first 2 games.
Yeah.
But then I go downhill because I sort of lose interest. But I mean, and I never have that's like I listen to things I can't think of those challenges when you're a boy and the stuff that we all have these different challenges that we do.
Yep.
And senses and feelings of insecurity. and things that we go through.
Yeah.
And I think how when you talk about as a boy, the time you spent by yourself,
Yeah.
began to build that character, a different type of character
Yep.
in you, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and because I did most of my stuff myself.
Right.
I mean, I'd take off and ride my bicycle up to Pounding Mill. I'd fish all the way through by myself, I
Yeah.
just done it by myself.
Yeah.
And I'd go hunting, just like a hunting on Sunday deal. I was
Yeah.
by myself. I was 8 years old.
Right.
8 or 10, somewhere in that area. But I started hunting by myself when I was about 8, fishing by myself when I was about 8. And,
Yeah.
just kind of got used to doing stuff by myself.
That's a different type of cloth, though.
Yeah, it is.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because not everybody's like that.
No.
I mean, some people,
No, they don't like to do that.
They don't like to be by themselves. Okay? And they
Yeah.
don't. But it's a different, I think that sort of molded you for your life
Yeah.
and shaped you for your life. Now, sometimes that makes it tough. That challenges as a young boy in the way you've been molded. That makes it hard for us to build relationships with other people.
It
Does that make
sometimes.
sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to build relationships because you if you want to build a relationship, okay. If you don't,
Right.
I mean, it don't.
Right.
You just go on because that's what you're used to.
Yeah.
I mean, but some people is used to somebody being there all the time,
Right.
and so they can't be by themselves. Now, just like me, I just come back from an 11-day hunting trip in Ohio by myself.
Yeah.
I hunted by
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
Now, I just do that. I go up to the cabin, stay up there 2 or 3. I stay up there a month or 2.
Yeah.
Well, I stay by myself, but when I come back to town and stuff, come back to church stuff, it's different. But
Yeah.
it don't, I've just been by myself. So that's what,
Yeah.
like you say, that's what molds you, and that's what kind of gets you, get you ahead for your life. And as you get older, you don't like to be by yourself. That's
Right.
what,
Yeah, but it's a little too late then.
A little bit too late now.
You've already been a rascal all that time. You've already been a loner. Now all of a sudden, I want people with me.
Yeah, you want somebody to talk to and somebody just in case that you
Yeah.
need something, they can hand it to you.
That's terrible, Charlie. And I know people that you can live your life by yourself.
Yeah.
And I tell you something when we talk about it, and let's talk about this just a little bit. When we talk about challenges, when you're spending so much time alone, and then you have to. What happens is if you're with people and you're around people, then you got to be able to you got to serve them.
Yeah, you got to.
Okay, and when you get used to doing this, I don't know if this makes sense. When you get used to just serving yourself, and you got to go the other route, that makes it hard.
Yeah, you have to start looking out for somebody else.
Yeah.
To make sure everything's gonna be okay with them too.
Yeah.
It's kind of different. I can do that.
Right.
I can do that. If somebody does go with me, I'll make sure that they,
Right.
that everything's good and everything. I can adapt to either way. So that's kind of the way I've been about most of my life. I can adapt to it. And,
Yeah.
adapt. When you adapt, sometimes you just got to be able to adapt to different situations.
Yes, sir.
I guess that's where Paul said, in whatever state I'm in, I've learned to be content. So here we go.
Yeah.
I guess you just got to learn sometimes. Whatever
yeah.
where you're at, you can. There's a time that you can do stuff, and you can just do it. You just gotta buckle down and say this is the way it's going to be.
Right.
And I've always tried to have me a set way to go. If I wanted to do something, I had it set up to where I could go that way and do that way and do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's I wasn't planning for it, but if you don't want to, if I want to be around somebody, I can get along with that too.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that. I really know that. I can see that in lives and people that you can have times that and that's like when you're with somebody. There's times you're not thinking anything, and they say, "What are you thinking?" Well, you're not thinking nothing. I think men are like that.
Yeah,
Sometimes we ain't thinking nothing.
No, we ain't thinking nothing special, but they think we are.
And Janice asked me, "What are you thinking?" I said, "I wasn't thinking nothing." "No, I know you were thinking something." I said, "No, believe me, honey, there was nothing going on. This thing was completely blank. I was out of here, baby."
I've had that happen too.
Yeah.
People, what are you thinking about? Nothing. Same thing about nothing.
I was idling.
Yeah.
I was in neutral.
Slow motion, weren't we?
Yeah, but and I think about now being alone. I'm not good at that. I'm good for a little while. If I got something I want to do.
Yeah, do it
and
yourself.
sometimes I don't want nobody around me because I don't like them interrupting me when
Yeah,
I'm
when you're
working on
doing something.
I don't really, and I try to be careful though.
Yeah.
You know, I try to be real careful, and it
Yeah.
just I don't know. It's a lot to build on when you're doing those things, and you well tell me this when we talk about this thing. Let's talk about. I know this is a challenge too. Okay, but let's talk about when we talk about relationships with women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to put that topic, okay?
Okay.
I use it all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're dealing with the opposite sex, okay, there's principles and things you have to apply because we're all different,
Oh yeah.
you know. And I'm not sure of all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, there's challenges in it, but it's great. But I mean, you know, I don't want to. But I mean, you know, there's challenges that we have.
Yeah.
When we have to deal with it.
When you have to deal with, you've got to learn. You got to talk to them. What I do, I try to figure out what they like, and you let them talk because they're most of the time good at it anyway.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
I want to learn what people like.
Yeah, and they'll tell you.
And you're being respectful.
And you pick up on it. You let them talk, and you let them just talk, and eventually you'll start picking up on things that they like.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you go with. You take that subject and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
If they like to do this, and okay, you know, you can take that subject and go on with it. And that's what I try to do with most people. I don't have many people that I can't get along with. Very few. I mean, they ain't ever. There's nobody in the world gets along with everybody.
Right.
I mean, there's just somebody don't like you. I don't care who you are.
Right.
Just like my buddy. Or some people don't like him. Some people don't like his buddy.
Anybody
But that's okay.
Anybody don't like me don't know me.
That's right. That's what I
figured.
That's what I
To
tell
know
them.
me is to love me.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is, you know. But sometimes you'll draw the conclusion about somebody.
Yeah.
And then once you get to know them, they're nothing like that. They ain't
I've
got.
said
I mean,
that before.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when we draw a conclusion, we'll see even when we're talking to people, we'll think one thing. We don't know what day they're going through. We don't know what's happening in their life. When you're talking about challenges in your life, if we meet somebody, you know, and we don't know what they've been through.
No.
To put them, why they're mad.
No.
Or why they're heartbroken, or why they're confused, and that's hard to do. You have to actually take time to do that.
Yes, you do.
You know, and I believe that in relationships with our wives or with girlfriends or with them, but we're having to take time and try to figure out what's important to them.
Yeah, and you got to once you find out, you got to do some of it.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, you know, you got to kind of work around and do things that they like too, because you know if you don't, then it don't work out.
But see, for a man with your makeup that's been alone so much,
yeah,
okay, that seems like that would be hard.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, what it is, you know, it's hard to find somebody that's compatible with you.
Well, yeah.
That's
Right.
what the problem is.
Yeah, I
you
know
know,
so.
because all of us has got our faults, and all of us has got little twitches that we like and things, you know, and it's hard to find somebody that you're compatible with.
Exactly.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it has to be. I've always said relationships that 50-50 thing's a myth. It's 100-100.
It
okay,
is.
and if both people have to be there to serve.
That's right.
Okay, if
Yep.
one is there to be served,
work
it never works out.
Never
you know?
works out.
And you just seem like you have to be able to be there to serve. And you know, and this morning I shared a lot about. I talked about that when we begin to have respect for people.
Yeah.
To have respect
Yeah.
for each other and do those things.
Yeah.
That's a lot to do that.
Yeah. You've got that's the key to it is respect their their ideas and what they like to do and what they places they like to go. I mean, do that, and then maybe they'll go with you somewhere. You know, maybe they will. Anyway, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
so you start on their field. You know, so
Yeah, Janice messes me up because she'll say it don't matter.
yeah, that's what they say.
I say I know it does matter, but I'm just trying to figure out how it matters. Okay, you know, it ain't where she wants to eat; it's where she don't want
That's
to eat.
exactly right.
I'll say, where do you want to eat? It don't matter. I say,
Yeah.
yeah, I know it matters. But let's sort of work through it. And she'll say, well, I'll just tell you if I don't want to when we get there.
Okay.
And I said, well, gosh, that makes it pretty hard. but
You may take her to Hardee's.
you know, she's been tagging along with me to Hardee's in the morning because I have my time in the morning, my alone time, my pickup truck, that time. But she's been going the last little bit. And it costs me more.
Yeah.
I eat for $5.47, but she goes, it's $11.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind it. But relationships are important. That it's hard. We have to focus on that in our life. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we want. I meet people that are alone.
Yeah.
and lived a life alone. And it is harder.
It is, man.
It is hard. And
It is.
It's no fun.
No, there's no fun, but being by yourself. It's just being alone. It's no fun,
Yeah.
It's not that you can't find somebody but it's like I said a while ago. It's hard to find somebody compatible.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get to liking the same things, and doing the same things.
Right.
I mean, they may not like to do this things, nothing that you do, so it ain't gonna work out very good if they don't like.
Well,
something.
I think that's what happens if you. Janice and I got married. I was young, and I was from the country, and she's from the city, and she tricked me. But I'm thinking about how we got married. We've been married 42 years, and we've sort of molded together in a lot of areas. Mm-hmm. Okay, we took time, and I think sometimes that happens. You begin to go together.
Yeah.
And you start to. I don't know. You start to do some things. You start to know each other's habits a little bit, and you start to work with it. And,
yep.
And except for now, and now she gives me a lot of advice for some reason. I've been talking with her about that. She wants to give me advice all the time when I'm talking.
Yeah.
And then I'll be telling a story, okay? I'll be telling a good story. I mean, I got that sucker going good.
Yeah.
I salt and peppered it, put a little bit of that seasoning on it. It sounds so good. And then when I get done, she says, "Oh, no, that didn't happen like that." Now, that was on a Thursday. You did have this on, and they didn't. And I said, "Now, listen, honey. Here's a new rule I'd like to work with. When I talk for 5 minutes, you don't say nothing after that."
Yeah.
Okay. And she didn't like it.
She didn't like your rule.
She didn't like it at all. I told her, I said, "I don't need no advice. I don't need you to give me no advice."
I don't like it either. If I already know how to do something, I hate somebody try to tell me to do it.
I don't want no advice.
I don't need it because I know how to do it. I know what I'm doing.
I'm 65.
Yeah.
Don't need no advice.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. I don't need none. I'm too late now.
I tell you what, though. What about your temper? How's your temper?
My temper. Your temper, you kind of learn as you get older.
When
Used to be, I had a bad temper. I really,
So your temper, your temper starts to change a little bit.
Yeah.
You get a little older.
Yeah, it does.
And you get a little slower about some things, and you take things into consideration. And but I believe temper, I mean, it's adjustable.
Yeah, you do. As you get older, you learn to adjust it.
Yeah.
Because just like there's some people, they're easy set off, and stuff. And I used to be, it's easy to get aggravated, I never did like to fight. I didn't like his fight. I just never was a fighter, But I'd argue. I'd argue with you, but I wouldn't fight. I don't fight.
I'd always rather fight.
Yeah, you don't want to fight, dude. I don't like that fight.
I like to argue.
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
No, but for some reason, I've had
me.
good friends that I fought with, and had one I interviewed the other day. I talked to them about fought with, but I mean, I didn't want to talk mean.
No,
I didn't want to talk mean.
No, and you start to change because you find out those things. As you get older, those things don't mean nothing.
Yeah,
at the end, the things, I was thinking the other day. I was just thinking, and I had never really thought about this. And there's a voice kind of spoke to me and told me, he said, you work for all this stuff, just all of your tools here. You just think all this stuff you got, nice stuff, but you ain't gonna take none of this. Everything that's made here, stays here.
Right.
This body's gonna stay here.
Right.
It's made here.
Right.
It's going to stay here. And everything you do, it's going to stay here.
Yeah.
Your house is going to stay. Your truck, I don't care if you got 3 new Cadillacs out there and you drive. They're going to stay here and you're going to leave.
Yeah.
And that's just the way, and I've started looking at that here lately. I really have.
I think that's smart.
I've started looking at that, I must have forgot to cut my phone off. I don't hardly get no phone call.
I don't even know where it is.
I don't either. I don't know. It's probably over in my pocket.
What I think about, so when we talk about temper, I mean, what used to make you argue? What did you used to argue about? What made you set off Charlie when you wanted to argue?
I didn't argue about a whole lot of things. It was just mostly football or something like that.
Right. Right.
And car racing. I was a big car racer. Yeah. Yeah, and I wasn't a Dale Earnhardt fan. I promise. I mean, he's okay and stuff. I was a Davey Allison fan,
right.
All the way. But I'd argue with you on that.
Yeah. That's cool, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. It's funny, but some people, they wouldn't even say the word about it, It didn't bother them because they didn't like it. You have to have something that you like before you argue.
Yeah,
Something
that is.
just like
you know.
you would have argued over a horse deal or something.
Yeah, I
You know?
have.
Yeah.
I've argued over stuff like that, and my temper get a little hot.
Oh, mine did
but
too.
you know, I found the challenge I like now is when I run into situations that seem like they're going to be challenging as far as somebody's attitude or something. I find it more as a challenge.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about challenges. That when I find somebody's temper that's out of whack and they get a little, it sort of feels good to be able to pull them back in.
Yeah.
And talk to them a little bit and calm them down.
Yeah.
And the Bible, that's why the Bible said, "Blessed is the peacemaker."
Yeah,
but
it is.
when I can sort of calm a situation down, and keep something that you used to
Yeah.
when you're young, you want to jump in the middle of it like a dog fight.
Oh yeah, you want to get into it.
Okay, but now I like to calm things down.
I do too. I don't like to see people, getting an argument and stuff, and almost getting in a fight. I try to talk to them, so man, it ain't worth all this stuff.
Right.
Nothing is. I mean, it ain't worth doing all that and going on through all that crazy stuff.
Right. You know, there's people though, husbands and wives that like to argue. Again, that's just their traits.
They do.
And I'm glad they find each other. But I mean, instead of ruining somebody else's life. But I mean, I had a good friend of mine. Him and his wife. Me and my kids we all went to visit him one time and over something. We spent some time with him. Well, he was a pastor of a church and a good friend of mine, still is. But him and his wife talked gruff to each other and loud.
Yeah.
Well, my kids hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
They don't hear. They never heard that around our house.
Yeah.
Because I've never raised my voice at Janice. 42 years. I've never raised my voice at her. And my kids never heard that, and they don't hear. They never heard that kind of gruff talking.
They didn't understand.
And these suckers were going at it, blah 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 blah, and they still loved each other, but it was their nature. And but when we left and got in the car, all my kids started crying. Oh, they were just tore up over it. They hadn't been around anything like that.
They thought it was bad.
They really thought it was bad, but it was the nature of those people that talked gruff to each other.
I've seen people
and their arguing seemed to be all right with them.
Yeah.
You know,
I find that in the older generations, the people, the older ones. I remember a lot of people growing up and stuff. They would talk hatefully. I mean, you'd think it's ready to fight.
Yeah.
But they sit down, they'd be getting supper together or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's quite as bad now. As it used to be. Maybe, I don't know. Of course, I ain't been around a lot.
You've been along in the woods. Of course, you think it's all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I mean, I just see that nature of people. How they do. They get like that.
Yeah, they do. It's their nature. I don't know what causes it either.
I watch it. I don't know. I watch it and I think, So if we talk about things in Charlie's life, okay, and I think we've covered some of them, but if we talk about being happy,
yeah,
okay, and I need to push you outside of it a little bit, but I mean when we talk about doing something that makes you happy, I know we're going to talk about hunting, and fishing, okay. I got that figured out.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
And I don't hunt and fish at all. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I got your tackle box you gave me up there right there.
Oh yeah.
I got that up there. And I got the fishing bowls in here somewhere. Charlie got me a fishing bowl. He got me a fishing bowl. I want to try to fish. I have only fished twice in my life. Okay, twice. I threw the worms in the last time. I said it's easier than putting them on the hook. I said, them fish must be hungry. So I dumped the whole out of the little plastic cup.
Yeah.
Dumped it all in there. But anyway, I know you like to fish and you like to hunt. But I mean, what is there something else? If I talk about what makes Charlie Absher happy, if tomorrow you just want to do what makes you happy.
Tomorrow, I guess the happiest thing that I could, I mean, honestly, the happiest thing I've ever done was to be able to preach and see somebody get saved.
Yes, sir.
That's the happiest thing.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
The best. That is the best. And I've seen a lot of things.
Right.
Done a lot of things. Been, but they ain't nothing like that.
And somebody come in their life.
That's right.
To see their life set in motion.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. To know that you've helped them to get to that point. Before they realize.
Yeah.
I think that is the happiest that you can be. You've
had
that experience.
And I've had, when I stopped pastoring the church, because I felt like it was time for me to make a change. In the spirit, I know God had told me what to do. But I mean, when I think about, when I've had people call me back that I pastored years ago. And I just have a young lady, Teresa was her name. She's dead now. And she would come. She was in North Carolina, and she was on the street. She's homeless most of the time, okay? But she would call me every once in a while, just talk to me from the streets and where she was at, you know, and just tell me how much she loved me and loved Janice.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think of things in your life like that that really made me happy.
There's a thing happened to me here probably about a year ago, I guess. And a girl used to come to my church. I pastored church 23 years. And she used to come to my church. I used to go pick her, about all of her whole family come. I have to go get them in a van and take them to church, you know, with me. We'd run the van back in. But she come to me. It's probably been 7 or 8 months ago, or maybe a year. You know, time goes by so quick, somewhere in that area. But she told me, as a young girl, she told me, said, I remember the message that you preached that I've always tried to base my life on.
Yeah.
And she was 62 years old. And she probably was about, I've been 50 yet. Let's see, it was 20-some years ago. I mean, I was 20-some years old then. You know, it's been at least 45 years.
Yeah.
That she said she tried to base her life on that message that I preached.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she told me the name of it, and I remember preaching it. I remember the title of it. And about 2 months ago, she died.
Gee whiz.
Yep. She said, I've tried to base my life on it.
Yeah.
And that's it right there.
You know, but you didn't know.
Didn't know. I mean,
when you were doing it.
And I forgot things in my heart that people said to me, too, like your dad and you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
How helpless have you felt, though, sometimes you stood in the pulpit and felt like nobody was paying attention? Did you ever feel that?
Yeah.
I felt that so many times.
Yeah, I felt that a lot.
Like nobody really cares.
Nobody cares. So
nobody's listening to me. Nobody's caring.
Yep.
Everybody's just waiting to go home.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me, and I think all preachers do that.
Yeah.
You know, unless they're one of these big mega preachers or
I
something.
feel they feel the same way.
Yeah, I'd say they do
We
sometimes.
just don't know,
we
man.
just don't. We don't know.
Yeah.
We've sit where they've sit, and they've sit. They've walked where we've walked.
Exactly.
We all walked down the same trails.
Right.
I mean, you know.
I had a guy one time. He was telling me he was fussing about Jim Baker and money and stuff like that, and I said, you know, it's pretty easy for you to say to talk about him. I said, where you have $500 a week coming in the church.
Yeah.
But if you had $150,000 coming in every service, I'd sure like to see how humble and sweet you was about everything. You know, would you still be driving that '77 Pinto? Okay, all right. Or what would you be doing? I said, you're talking about temptation and a challenge. It's not like to be a thief or nothing.
Yeah.
But see, the biggest thing we do is get to thinking we're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And we get to thinking that we're worth it.
Yeah.
I'm worth it. I'm this. I'm that. When you ain't jack, man.
No, you ain't.
You covered it a minute ago.
Yeah.
You know, in the end, all this stuff is. I taught one time at the church. We used to have some old houses beside the church, and they come in the city and tore them down and cleaned it all up and stuff like that. And then I taught one time. The Lord dealt with me about it. He said, that house out there, someone gave hours and hours of their life to pay for.
They did.
Okay,
They did.
Worked some job and done something just to build that house and pay for it and to paint it and buy wood for the stove and to do all that.
Yeah.
And it's gone, man.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And I struggle trying to find what's important. And I don't know if I know it all the time, okay? I know relationships like me and you have is important to me.
Important. You gotta have it.
Okay, that's to me
Yeah.
makes me rich.
You check on me all the time, and that's
Okay.
really important to me because nobody hardly checks on me. I'd be dead for a week. Something wasn't for you, and nobody knows.
One time, Charlie, I couldn't find him. Okay, I lost him. I said, where the heck, Jason? I said, where? I called, no dad burn answer. No nothing. No nothing. I said, where is he at? Well, so I got a little smart, and I tracked down a woman or two I knew that he knew. And I said, where is Charlie at? And they gave me some leads. And I found you in Wake Forest. I found you at the hospital.
Yeah.
I walked in, there you was. I said, yeah. I said, where's your rear end been?
My son.
Your phone had got locked up.
Yeah, my son. He locked my phone.
Locked his phone up, and there it was.
Nobody could call me. Nobody knew what was going on.
I think I'm going to put one of them trackers under your skin.
I need one.
You know, a cheap way of doing that is I could get one of them air tags and duct tape it to you.
Yeah, it'd be better.
Just duct tape. Be cheap. Be like a red deck tracking system.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Just stick it right to you. But I think of how these relationships and things that we have in our life, man, and how important. And there's times that you can feel defeated.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a real world, and
Yeah,
we go through stuff.
Hey, we all go through this stuff, you know. Some of us does better acting.
Right.
We're better actors than others.
And that's important.
I mean, yeah. Really, we're actors, and we're on stage. We're on display, really. Yeah. We all are.
Yeah.
You're on display. What do you think, believe it or not, your influence, no matter who you are, you have influence over at least 7 people, they say.
Yeah.
Over at least 7 people. Of course, you know, other people knows you, then you got better influence.
Right.
But anyway, you know, in your actions and stuff, and how you do in situations, and how you do when something happens. You know, but you got to learn to deal with it. If I get in a situation where I've got to buckle down and deal with it, I get me a plan, and I follow that plan every day till I get out of it. Till I get through it. I've got a plan.
But that's a wisdom comes back from business.
Yeah.
It comes back from things. I mean, that you got a plan. Well, when we talk about that, okay, all right, let's take that just because I think that's so important. So many times, I believe if you don't run your life will run you.
That's right.
Okay?
You got to.
So you got to be able to have that plan and be able to say this. And I tell my kids all the time, I said, you need a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And a next month plan. Yeah. And let it change if you want to.
Yeah, you can change it.
But have a plan.
If it's for the better. And sometimes you have to back up. Yeah. And get another foothold. Don't just you know, have to get up, back up a little bit and get another push.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was talking this morning something about being anxious. How a lot of people can live their life so anxious and so nervous sometimes when you got to lighten up just a little bit.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that does that, the anxiety and stuff in their life, and they worry about everything. I mean, they worry about everything. I mean, you can't worry too far ahead out in the future. I know they're predicting snow today, but I ain't worried about it. You know, I don't care if it snows a foot. I went in 36 inches of snow. If I take a notion to go, I've always went.
Right.
It don't bother me. But now some of the people, some of you that it bothers. But
my mom's got ice in the freezer. She won't leave the house. she won't leave. She just like that. She called me the other day. I was supposed to go visit her, and she said, "You know it's going to be bad." I said, "Well, I mean, I got 4-wheel drive." And Janice told me this morning. She said, if you need to go now, you need to go before it gets bad. I said, I'm not one of them transgenders. I'm my own man.
Me too.
I said, praise God, I'll go down fighting.
Yeah, I ain't gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna go down.
But
fighting.
a lot of people worry.
Yeah, they worry about all that stuff. And I got other things more important than to worry about the weather. The weather don't mean nothing. Yeah. I mean, you don't mean something to me, but I adapt to that situation. Yeah. I mean, I'm ready for it. If it snows a foot, I'll be ready for it.
Yeah.
And you know, if it don't snow none, I'm ready for that too. If the sun comes out.
And I found the Lord will make preparation in advance.
Yeah.
I had a situation a year or so ago. I had a little Chevrolet Spark, and it's snowing like a banshee, but it's front wheel drive and it went pretty good. And actually was coming. Well, I was coming down here. We ordered pizza for Colson and them, and ordered some for us. Well, when I went to get the pizza, I went through and I come back snowing like a banshee. Okay, I pulled in and my front wheel went off the edge of the road and it went boom.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there I was in the snow, stuck. But I knew Colson was out to the studio scraping the lot.
Yeah.
And I had 2 pizzas and a 2-liter Pepsi. Okay? So I just turned on my phone and watched some TV, ate some pizza, left the motor running, and I said, I told Colson, when you come back by, hook a chain to me. Pull me out. So the Lord had made a way before I knew I needed a way.
Yeah, you already had it.
I didn't need to worry.
No.
And,
you already had it covered.
It makes it hard on friendships and relationships when you spend a life about worrying and stuff like that too.
Yeah, when people worry about things that's never, well, you know, we just worry about things that never happen. Yeah. And when it comes time for that thing to happen, when we think it's supposed to happen, most time it don't never happen when we think.
Right.
It goes the opposite direction, or you know, something will ease up to where you can get on through. Or,
yes, sir.
You know, and it is. I mean, you just it's just learning to adapt to the situations. Learning to adapt whatever state, whatever situation you get in. Yeah. Learning to adapt to it, and you know, if you know something's coming up in your future, then you can plan for it. Have a plan for it.
Right.
But you can be able to deviate from that plan, get off of it a little bit if you need to.
Yeah.
You know, let up a little bit off of it if you need to. That's the way I kind of tried to. I've learned. Believe me, I've been down a lot of roads and I've learned this through experience.
My dad said a man was like a coon dog. The time he's good for anything, he's dead with old age. He used to say it all the time.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day, man. All these people that I know and the wisdom that they had,
Right.
and the knowledge they had, and we kept it to ourselves.
See, that's what this program's about, okay? And I've shared this before. I believe there's men like you that have wisdom, that have already went through some things, that could share some advice. And if one person listens, and I've had people, we've done 70 of these programs, okay? I've had people tell me, John, that the other day helped me. And that touched me, and what that person said. And listen, it's not all about, we're not quoting scriptures at you all the time, and that's all right.
No, we'll bring up one every once in a while.
But what it is wisdom.
Yeah.
And sharing these things and saying, hey, let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
And I went through this, and this is what will help you.
Yeah. I went through a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them, you know.
Man, alive.
I've been through a lot of things, you know, but, you know, I went through them. I'm still here.
Yeah.
I ain't quit. I ain't gonna quit.
That's the thing.
I ain't quitting.
Okay, I mean,
you can't quit. I don't care what's going on in your life right now. You can't quit.
No.
Because if you quit, a lot of people say, well, why do you go to church? And you're like this. Well, don't quit going, because you can't get help if you don't.
Right.
I mean, if you don't quit going, I mean, somewhere down the road, you know, there'll be help.
Yeah.
There would help. But just don't quit. Some people say, well, there ain't no need. What's the use? There is a use.
So showing up, really.
Yeah, showing up.
See, I used to teach this guys that work for me. I said, you know, first thing, just show up for work.
Yeah, you got to have a body there.
We'll figure out if you're any good as you go along. But I said, half the people that are really good don't even show up.
They don't even show up. Carpenters and bricklayers and block layers are the worst. They used to, I'm roofers.
Just come in a little bit and they don't show up.
Oh, here comes a cloud. They look for an excuse for terrain. They won't be but one cloud in the sky. And they take off and go. I used to get so aggravated.
I'm going to tell you something. Stuff is like that. All right, let's talk about this, okay? When we talk about changes, okay, changes in the world that we live in, you and I live in, okay? Now, we covered some of it, but I mean, what kind of changes stand out to you that you have really seen in this world we live in?
I think we've had so many. We've lived in the generation from, well, I'm older than you are, but from our time, I say our time because we ain't that bad far apart, but from our time, there has been more knowledge increase than any other time that's ever been recorded in history. We've had more knowledge increase, more things.
Right.
I mean, we're able to do all kinds of things. Who'd ever thought? Well, 20 years ago, I wouldn't thought you'd have a self-driving car.
Right.
I mean, you know, and stuff like this, and you know, I went through the changes, and you just have seen so much. It's really unbelievable. It's hard to imagine the changes that we've seen in our lifetime because we're the one to keep hitting that mic, but we're the ones that we have. I think it's kind of getting down to the last time where the Bible talks about, you know, how knowledge shall be increased in the end time, and I think it has. I think it's come to that point of where our knowledge has been increased, though. But the main thing is you just can't get too smart. You think you're smarter than what you are because you know sometimes it just don't work out when you think it's when it gets out there like that. You can't be. You can't outsmart God and all that stuff because it's going to come to pass like He said. We're not going to get into that and everything, but you know, everything's going to happen just like He said, and that's what I look forward to.
You know, do you think though the difference between there's access to knowledge and then there's having knowledge?
Yeah.
See, and this is hard to structure between.
Yeah.
You can't. A lot of people think they're smart because they have access
to knowledge,
to the information, and it's different than knowing the information. Okay, now does that make any sense?
Yeah, I had a guy I had a guy that worked for me one time, and you know he could not do nothing. I'm telling you, he couldn't do nothing, but he could tell you how to do it,
right?
Because he had read it,
right?
But that's what he had.
Had access.
He had access, and he knew how to do it, but he couldn't apply that.
Yeah.
He could tell somebody else, but he could not fix nothing. But he could know how. He'd tell you what to do. I mean, that he had access.
See, I think nowadays people have access to knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, any question I got, I go on Google most all the time.
They'll tell you.
Or I'm riding down the road and I say, Siri, tell me this. You know what I mean? And I have access to it. I don't know that now.
Yeah.
I done a program this morning about plumbing. Okay, and I like plumbing. Okay, I enjoy it. I don't know. I enjoy doing some plumbing along. I don't want to do it full time. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, there's stuff I have that the knowledge I've gained on how to put a compression fitting on, how to do shark bite, how to use PEX line, and I like learning that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think but I think nowadays the access there is so much there, but I'm not sure if the depth of knowledge is there.
Yeah, you've got to have some type of knowledge, because now just like me, I can work on a car, and if I get something wrong with my car, I'll go and I'll Google it, and that guy will give me a diagram how to fix it, and I can fix it.
Right.
But now some people can't do that.
Right.
And that's the difference. You can't apply it. You don't know how to apply it.
Right.
And that's the same with our knowledge about everything else, knowledge of life. People knows it, but then they can't make it into action.
That's the changes.
Yeah.
You know what I've tried to do when we talk about changes in the world. I think about I look at my grandkids sometimes, and I worry that they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know the crescent wrench from a pair of channel locks.
No.
And that worries me.
Yeah.
And I try to talk to them every chance I get.
Yeah.
When my only grandson was here the other day and we were working on something, I said, I'm going to show you how we're going to put a receptacle in. Mm-hmm. And I showed him how to. And I have to let him do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to jump in. But I have to let him do it and let him take. And I talk to him all the time about that kind of stuff. But one grandson, I got him out. My youngest grandson, Colsey. I don't know how old he is, 4 or 5, something like that. I can't remember.
I can't remember.
My wife knows
exactly.
Anyway, but I got a bunch of screwdrivers together, Phillips and Straights, about 15 or 20 of them, poured them out.
Yeah.
And I said, now let's go through these. And I'd make it into a game with him. And I said, is this a Phillip, a 4-way, or is this a straight? Flathead, straight, what is this? And he would go through them, and they were all different colors. Then I would pour them back out again. Now, I had to do something with him that I'd done with my son that helped him. When he got one wrong, I'd peck him on the head. Okay? So when he got one wrong, he'd start shutting his eyes. And I said, I have to do this because I love you.
Yeah.
I'd peck him right on the head with it. And then he got that really inspired.
He'll always remember that.
So see, it helped him. I can talk about screwdrivers, and he starts shutting his eyes.
He starts seeing them.
Yeah, he can see him hitting him in the head. But I think the knowledge in the world, like you're saying, is so fast.
Yeah, it's so fast that people just they can't catch on. Most people can't do. I mean, as far as mechanical, anything like that, they can't do nothing no more.
We need trade schools.
Yeah, we do. Oh yeah,
we
do. We've lost it out. Everybody's went to the computer, and everybody can't be a scientist. Everybody can't be a doctor.
No,
and everybody can't be a lawyer. Somebody's got to have hands-on experience on stuff.
Somebody's got to fix the toilet.
They got to fix it if it tears up.
Somebody's got to fix the toilet.
Yep.
Somebody's got to fix that door.
Yes, they do. They can make it, and you can put it in, and everything works right, but it's going to tear up. Sooner or later.
If it moves long enough,
it'll tear up.
I don't know if it moves long enough. I think about it, and people don't think about it, okay? They don't. Well, let's talk about this situation, okay?
Yeah.
And I know you had a lot of experience with this. Let's talk about money for a minute, all right? When we're talking about money, there's principles that you have to apply in order to be able to live.
Yeah.
And not be under constant threat of repossession and having your power turn off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some principles that you could advise people to apply in their life?
The one thing you can't do is get out and get in over your head.
Okay.
I sold cars for 38 years, and I never would sell nobody nothing, a vehicle that they couldn't afford.
Right.
That was my deal.
Right.
Because if I sold it to them and they didn't pay for it, I wasn't going to never get to sell them another car.
Exactly.
That's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
And that was the principle that I had. I watched out for them. But now a lot of people ain't like me. I promise you right up front.
Right.
But that's because we live in a small area. And you can't, we're not like a city. You sell one person one car, you'll never see them again.
Right.
So we got to keep selling back. So I use that principle about that, and I use that a lot about in my life. And sometimes we get a little bit loose if we start making money.
Yeah.
And you make a lot of money, you get loose and you start spending. You buy stuff you don't really need, like 4 pairs of pliers over there. And
toys.
Yeah. You buy toys. You buy stuff that ain't worth nothing. When you get ready to get rid of it, you just give it away almost.
Right.
And here you've got $10,000 in it, and you'll sell it for $1,000.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. And a guy told me one time, he said, yes, and I will never forget it as long as I can remember. He said, the secret ain't making money. The secret is keeping money.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
It's always somebody trying to take that away from you. They're trying to get it. I mean, you'll see something on TV and you'll order it.
Yeah.
On your credit card.
3 o'clock
You're
in the
going to
morning.
pay, oh, yeah, $19.95 a month for 8 months on something that's worth about $20. I mean, that's the way people do. And they can't control it.
You remember back when they used to sell them coins on TV in the package that were proof sets? Well, okay. I mean, that's been 35, 40 years ago. But I got them because I get them on my credit card.
I did too.
Well, anyway, a while back I found them. Okay. They was in a storage building on the hill. And I pulled this big box out of there. I said, what is this? And there's all these proof coin sets. Okay? And I said, what in the world? So I gave them to my grandson. I said, here, you take these. I ain't even known where they was for 25 years. Why do you think I mean, it's like an investment for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, but I think, and toys can be a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? The more toys you have, and you can't play with those so much. When you take a look at toys, and you can have more stuff than you possibly can keep up with.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge too, man. It's not to have too many toys.
Yeah, you buy things that you really don't need, and just like nothing wrong with having a 4-wheeler or side by side and all that stuff. But I've got one that my friend gave me when he passed away, and I've rode it since last year. I've rode it one time. This year, I mean, when I'm up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ride it. I don't have time. Just like a motorcycle. I took most of one motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I bought me one. I couldn't stand up. My feet were reaching ground. And I didn't feel comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
No way. Because
I
I got that thing, there was no brain.
You'd be in trouble. Yeah.
I was in trouble.
Oh, you'd be embarrassed.
Oh, yeah, right in the middle of the 4 lane.
Right, you'd be embarrassed.
And see, I bought that, and I didn't need that.
Right.
I couldn't even ride it.
Yeah.
And that's what people do. They do those things.
I know. And there's things that I've done the same thing you're talking about in life. I mean, I've got 3 4-wheelers. 2 of them, the tires rotted off of.
Dry rotted.
They actually dry rotted. I had to buy new tires, $600 a piece for them. Put them 2 tires on them things to get them all tired up. And now they're still sitting back in the building. Okay, back in the building. But I don't know. I think that when we talk about stuff and talk about money, it's important that you sort of stay
within your means.
Yeah, and you gotta eat. One thing I always done whenever I go to trade cars, I never would trade on that day.
No.
I would say I'm thinking about it because man is
impulse buying is when you get people.
Yeah.
A lot of times I went back and thought things over and didn't do it.
Right.
But then I have bought things on impulse, and man, I wished I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
I've got one right now like that.
Yeah. I think it can happen when we talk about that money, the impulse buying. I got stuff. Golly, I've got things that are. I was trying to think of what. Like I'll show you, Charlie. Okay. All right. Hold on. You see these bags?
Oh yeah.
These are really cool. Okay. What they are, I put my tools in them. I put all kinds of stuff in them.
You can see them.
Okay, because you can see your stuff in them. They
got.
got little zippers on them. They're heavy.
Yeah.
It's like a pencil bag you had in school, but it's a pencil bag on crack. Okay? But I've got 100 of these. I'll never be able to have enough stuff to put in. Okay? All right? And if Janice ever finds out, she'll kill me. Okay? So I just put a few of them. I tell you how many I've got. On the side of that, it says bags. Okay? Clear storage bags. Because I've got a bunch more of them in there.
You've got a bunch more down in there.
But that was foolish.
Yeah.
But they were on sale on Temu.
Just had to.
Temu told me to buy them.
Yeah.
So, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I bought them. Okay? But I think if we could ever, and I haven't learned completely.
They offer you a deal. One pack is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, just so
Right,
much.
right.
Then 3-packs, you get 3 for just a little bit more than you get
That's a good
one.
deal.
So you just get the whole thing.
That's a good deal.
Good deal. That's what I
mean,
say.
I have got 6 battery chargers. Okay, it says battery chargers. I've got them stored up here. Okay, and I've got this one good one. I've had it for 25 years. This still works.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I had to buy other ones. Okay, I got new ones over here. How much charging do I need?
He's got all kinds of charges.
I mean, but somehow when you go to doing that stuff, you start. But like you're talking about in life, now I don't do it like with boats and cars.
No,
okay,
we can't.
I can sort of allow, and Janice will allow me a little bit of leeway. Okay, with stuff like that. That's like those absorbent cloths. I don't know what they're called.
I've saw them.
Soft cloths.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, I've got a bunch of those because they come in like 30 packs. Okay, so you had to buy them.
Yeah, you can't let the video
but
like
it wasn't
that
a lot. Now, I used to do that with cars and stuff like that, but now I've got a lot better. But that impulse buying will cause you to live so many times. I don't know.
You throw your money away, stuff you don't use.
Yeah.
I go back and I moved here a couple of years ago and stuff, and I found stuff, just like John said, I found stuff that I didn't even know what I forgot about having it.
Yeah.
Now, what did I need with something I'd had 20 years and didn't know I had? I didn't need it. I mean, I did not need it. Now, if it's a pair of pliers, I need them eventually. I'll need them.
Yeah.
But just stuff that, this and just like hearing aids, on TV and all that stuff. I bought me 3 sets there.
Yeah.
You get 3 for almost the price of 1, so I just bought me 3 sets. So I can try to hear better when I'm hunting and stuff. And when I'm talking.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It gets to be, you can do that stuff so easy. When
it's easy done because they make it so simple for you, but you don't think about it.
I think that's the thing, too. I was talking to somebody there how easy it is to spend your money now.
Yeah.
Money used to be something you carried in your pocket.
Yeah.
Now it's just digits floating in the atmosphere.
Yeah. That's
it's
all
not
it is.
in your pocket anymore.
If all the world had to pay off today, they couldn't pay the debt off. It'd be broke.
There's no
everybody. Because everybody's floating 30 days behind.
Right.
They are.
Yeah. All right, so now let's hit this one pretty hard, okay? Today, and I know this is a lot, and I could tell it some. If young Charlie come up to the shed, pecked on the door, 18-year-old Charlie, and said, "Hey, old Charlie, I heard you was here. I'd like to have a little advice on my life. What to make sure I don't make some of the mistakes maybe that you made, or I can do better in areas that you done good in that I can do better in." Young Charlie walked up there and said, "Hey."
I would tell him one thing. I'd tell him, don't never get into debt over what you think you can. Don't never get in debt.
Don't listen to nobody. Talk in.
Don't get in debt. Don't listen to people. And and I did that because I got in debt.
Right.
And I know what it's like to be a slave to the bank. I know, man. Exactly. You're a slave to that bank. Yeah. I mean, you are. There's still slavery exists. I promise you. And it's because of debt, though, that we get in debt and we can't do anything. And you've got to work all you can. You got to do everything you can to service that debt. And that's what I always told him not to do. And he pretty well has done that. I mean, he's been a good manager because he had a good teacher, because I got a lot of lessons. Yeah. I got a lot of lessons.
No, hold on a second. I don't mean Charlie. I mean you, Charlie.
Me?
Yeah.
That I would do different now?
Yeah. I mean, if you.
Oh, okay.
I know, little Charlie, I don't have no problem with. I think he's okay.
Yeah, he is.
I mean,
he's
we don't have to give him no advice. But if you come and looking back on your life, where you were then, where you are now, the pitfalls and things that you would have liked to have been more careful with, the things you could have done better.
The things that I could have done better.
That's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of things I could do better. That's the reason I'm having a hard time to pick out one to talk about. I mean, I think sometimes I think probably what I did. I got in debt.
Right.
That I got in debt. And I had to work all that I can, every hour that I could. Mm-hmm. I'd work eight shifts a week.
Yeah.
And go to church the other 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd work day and night, and then go to church the other 2 nights. And I got because I wanted stuff. I seen other people have stuff, and I wanted that stuff.
Right.
And I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to young people. You see somebody out there that you want to be alike, But you can't be like them because they ain't nobody like them but them. You are got to be you. But you can take patterns after other people, and you can follow other people's advice. And I'm sure that, just like me, I could look back and I could give you advice on what not to do and how to do stuff. But then I had to go through that experience myself and learn it myself. And I ain't had an easy road. I tell everybody I've had a good life. I really have had a good life. And I realize that it ain't going to be long. I don't have much longer left. I know that. I mean,
all of us.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah, I realize that. But I wouldn't get in debt like this. I wouldn't like I did.
It robs you time, doesn't it?
Robs you time. That's what I was telling you. Yeah. That time away from my family.
Right.
I couldn't spend time, because I had to eat late at night. Couldn't sit down. I had to eat fast.
Yeah.
I'd go down. I'd drive. I drove a truck back then, in the early days, and I would go down and be trying to eat and change gears all at the same time on a coal truck.
Right. Yeah.
And that's. Because I'd got in debt and stuff, and that's what happens so many times. You want to be like somebody else and do the things they've done.
Yeah.
And it really don't matter in the end. You'll look back on it one of these days and it didn't make no difference.
I think the Bible speaks a lot of pride, but we don't take it serious.
No, we don't.
Okay.
We don't take it serious. We get that pride in our heart, and sometimes we got to have pride. You got to be proud of who you are and what you've done.
That's different.
That's different. It's a different type of pride.
Proud and pride.
Pride. There's two different types of pride there.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you know the difference.
Yeah.
There's pride, in wanting to be somebody else. That's more like the covetous pride,
Yeah.
Wanting something somebody else has got, and you just can't. It's hard for you to get it if you ain't got the situation they got.
Yes, sir.
We're in a different situation, different atmosphere than what they are,
and we don't know what kind of pain and heartache they're going through trying to do what you think. When you see them with something, you're thinking, boy,
they got it made.
You don't know how they.
I've seen people. I've said they've got it made. Then they'd come and want to talk to me about some stuff.
Yeah.
I found out they didn't have it made, but I'll never tell nobody what they told me. We don't do that.
Right.
Me and you, neither one.
No.
If somebody tells us something, we never tell somebody else. I told them a little story a while ago about the girl, but I never told you who she was.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't care to tell you who she was. She wouldn't care either because she's in heaven now.
Yeah.
She ain't worried about this.
Let's see, when you give advice, and look at things. So when we look at things, if you could tell young Charlie, we're talking about family and parenting.
Yeah.
What would you tell him?
Well, I always tried, and when I was raising Charlie, I always tried. He always went to church. Started playing the piano when he was 4 years old.
Right.
I mean, really, that's a miracle. I mean, I haven't. He's never given me 1 minute's problem. I'd have to say that.
Yeah.
And that's a lot better than I done my mom and dad.
Right.
I went groundhog hunting on Sunday.
Right.
But Charlie never did. And it just. But I tried to just do the. I done the best I could with him. I done better with him. But me, I would have, once when I was going to church, I studied. When I was going, I still go. But when I first started, that's what I meant to say. I studied and studied and studied, but it took me a while to get there. I mean, the world.
Yes, sir. So I think there's challenges that we all have that we look back on and think, well, I could have done this a little bit better.
Yeah.
I could have been a better parent here. I could have spent more time there. I could have. I don't know. I think about a lot of stuff like that. And then sometimes you say, I've done exactly what I set out to do. I was as good as I could have been, and that was it. That's okay.
My desire, when I first got saved, started preaching, my desire was to build a church. That was my desire. I was 21 years old then when I started like that.
Right.
Okay. So I found a piece of ground. I've preached about 2 years, and I had a little church over beside the 4-lane Webb Chapel, over if you passed if you went toward Grundy. That's where I started preaching at. I was 21 years old. Well, I preached before that, but that's where I started pastoring when I was 21. Well, I want to build a church. That was my desire.
Yeah.
I want to build it. And found some ground, went to the bank, and the banker told me, said she'd let me have the money to buy the land with. And then we got the land, and we started the church and all this stuff, there at Port Trinity Tabernacle was at Raven. That was the church I started, and I built it. But, that was my desire, John. And I look back and, no matter what's happened, no matter what happened to me, and it don't matter to me now. I mean, what happened to me. But to see that go on, and it's been going on for 50 years.
Yeah.
To see that work keep going.
Yeah.
That's what life is.
Exactly.
That's life. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's still going.
The legacy go on. Things
Yeah.
go on like that.
I mean, nobody probably, a lot of them going there probably don't even know that I built
Right.
it. But I spent an hour
Right.
building and working there.
working to do that.
I remember me and Jack Klein's. We had a jackhammer out there. One of them run off in Mount Archer, and a friend of mine, I can't tell who it was, but I need some dynamite.
Yeah.
And back in, if they caught you with dynamite now, you'd be in bad trouble. But anyway, he told me, he said, he was over construction outfit. He told me, he said, you go behind a certain building this evening, said, you'll find a case sitting back there. It's got something in it.
Right.
And said, you get it. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And I went back there. Just as he told me, that case was there.
Right.
Me and old Jack, we got over and we used that jackhammer. And we got the footer shot out. And
Well, I think that's cool. Okay. All right.
Not as hard.
Let's think about this then, okay?
Okay.
And I know this is a hard one too, okay? If I said today, Charlie, what do you really think you need to change in your life to be better? And I know we talk, it doesn't matter if you're 6 or 106.
Yeah.
Okay? We're all looking to be better and
Yeah.
to make changes. But I mean, what could you do? What could you do to improve Charlie Absher? You do.
To improve me,
Yeah.
I think.
Outside of having better friends.
I've got, to make me a better person, I think I need to probably maybe communicate a little bit more with more people right now, because I'm getting older.
Yeah.
And I don't want to die by myself,
Right.
And I think communication with other people would be better for me right now at this phase in my life.
Yeah.
Because I keep a lot of things on the inside.
Right.
And that's what happens to us, see. We keep them on the inside.
Yeah.
Nobody to share stuff with because you think that they don't care, and you think that some people don't want to listen.
Right.
But they do. There's people I'll listen to people.
Yeah.
And you will too.
Yeah.
And there's things that you need to share with other people, especially when you get older. Because you don't get around as good. You can't get across a log to go hunting. And you can't wade the creek because you fall in, I promise
Right.
you lose your balance. And and you gotta kind of adapt with the time. But communication with other people and doing stuff. Being around somebody right now, that's probably the best thing.
I think that's great.
That's what happens. I mean, I think a lot of people, as you get older, you will get want to be around different people because
The world gets smaller.
Yeah, you get smaller because most of my friends died. I mean, really, they
How
have.
big was your world? You think at the time when you were selling cars, building houses, I mean, going to the races.
Yeah.
I mean, how big was your world at that time?
God, I just.
How many people did you
Oh,
come in
Lord,
contact with? And how many people knew you? And how many people, I mean, but your world becomes smaller if you're not careful.
Yeah,
But
that's what
I mean, I think some of that's natural.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, my world got so big, man. I was making money, all kinds of money then. I mean, with selling houses, selling cars, was doing everything, and money money was flowing. You could do it.
Yeah.
And then as things come in, as you kind of get older, and things begin to slow down, and you begin to slow down too.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back down to the one man deal, one man thing, and those things don't matter no more. I couldn't even tell you who won a race.
I tell you what, I have a problem with, Charlie, and as long like what you're talking about, I'm not as ambitious as I used to be.
You don't care now because you're starting to unwind.
Yeah.
So you realize you start setting your priorities in order.
Yeah.
You start getting rid of stuff that you don't need.
Right.
Me and you both have done that.
Yes, sir.
The one thing we don't need to pay tax on all this stuff.
No.
I realize I've been in these places. We both got stuff. We got stuff. I'm just gonna say stuff.
Yeah.
But still, you don't need that.
No.
And I don't need all this stuff no more because I'm not going to live long enough to enjoy it. Because time is running out.
Yeah, it's supposed
not
to.
Not that I'm going to live. Yeah,
Right,
I got to
right.
prepare
You're
for this.
supposed to, yeah.
I'm
And that's
preparing
wisdom.
for it. Yeah, you got to prepare for it because your kids is going to throw it in the trash.
It ain't going to mean nothing to them.
It ain't going to mean nothing.
And it's because it's natural.
Yeah, it's just they don't like the same things we like.
I mean, it's bad, but
Yeah.
it just means it's natural.
That's just natural because people used to keep stuff like that, but then eventually the grandkids didn't know what it was or didn't know who it was.
Right.
My mom left me a bunch of real nice pictures of the family, but I don't have a clue who those people are now.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you know, and that's the way life is, and the things that we count all this stuff, and we really like it, you know. But the other people that's going to come behind us.
So you're saying, and I know it's hard to put into what we're talking about doing.
Yeah, it is.
So when you're talking about the change you need to make, is what? I don't. What is it?
The changes you got to realize that
You got to make.
I've got to make, and I've got to realize that time is running out on me. Is what I've done, and I've got to get rid of things I don't need and live as much as I can.
Right.
Live as much as I can right now, because I don't have much longer to go, and that's the way I look at things. And you got to have money to do it. If you got something that you don't need, and you can sell it, and use it. That's what I say.
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
And you know. And that's what I've been trying to do, you know.
I agree with
the little
you.
things. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of big things
Right.
left, you know. But
we gather a lot of junk as
Yeah.
we get old, because we just have stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think when I look over there's a sledgehammer right there I found a while back up on the hill in the barn,
yeah,
and I mean, we got them laying around everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. But I brought it down here. Now, I wouldn't have done this when I was young, but I brought it down here and took a steel brush and cleaned it up. I painted it black.
yeah,
You know, and cleaned it all up. Well, they ain't nobody going to use that sledgehammer.
There ain't
You
no
know what
way.
I mean? They're not going to use it, but it looks really nice.
Yeah, it
But I'm
does.
thinking there's stuff in life that we get so much junk. That's why, you know, I think tiny living, that's what they call it now. I think there's such a great wisdom that goes on in people living it's not just called tiny living, minimalistic living.
yeah. That's what I'm.
And start to do that.
Same thing, you know, that we're talking about. I mean, that
Yeah.
I've been talking about. You get to realizing that you don't need all this stuff.
Yeah.
You don't need a 5,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
How you going to get into every room and clean all this
Right.
stuff, and you know,
Houses too.
It-
I mean,
it's
I'm
a
a firm
dread.
believer that can be a burden.
oh, the taxes.
And the greatest thing we
Heat.
ever done was move in a little 800 square foot house. Was the greatest thing we ever did.
Yeah, because that's all you need.
Yeah.
Me, I could be fine in a camper, but you know, it don't make no difference to me. You know, I've got a place to stay and everything, and that's good. But you know, it don't really make a lot of difference. You've got to have a place to stay.
Right.
Don't
yeah,
get me wrong.
Right.
I believe in that, but all the stuff that you don't need, you just don't need it.
Yeah. I'm agree. So what you're going to do is you start committing to really spending more time with people.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Because you know, you need to see them. You need to see the people you love.
Yeah.
And do things.
And that's
with them.
work. You got to do it.
You got to
make
work at
yourself
it.
do it.
You got to work.
Okay?
You got to work at
So
it.
when I have dinner at the house, you have to be there.
Yeah.
We're goofing around.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, quit calling me the night before.
I don't if I forget. Forget about it, okay? And then I can be talking to you and forget about it.
Me too. I do
can.
too.
I can. Well, let's see. We got just one or two more topics.
Okay.
Let's talk about my dad.
Oh yeah.
Okay, when we think about Dad, I know Dad loved you.
Oh,
he really
yeah.
loved you. My dad did. He loved
Yep.
Charlie, and I know you loved him.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and so when I think about him, and I think about things of Dad, I mean, and you know, Dad wanted to live to be 120, and Mom never wanted him to do that. Because she said, I don't think I can take care of an old man. Okay, and I used to tell him all the time. I said, Dad, I don't know about that 120 stuff. I said, you know. I mean, you ain't
did.
skipping around now, you know. And we would always laugh and talk about it.
We'd laugh.
But I think about when my dad died. I was sharing this morning. I never felt old till my dad died. I aged in 2 months. I felt like I aged 10 years.
Yeah, and once your mom's gone, you're
Yeah.
gonna really feel alone.
Right? You feel alone. You're
Oh,
like an
there ain't
orphan.
nobody there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. No, my dad died first, kind of like Brother Eddie did. And my dad was 87 when he died, and my mom was she was 89. But anyway, my dad died, I think, 8 years before Mom died or something like that. He died in 92, she died in 99, about 7 years, 8 years, something like that. But anyway, when she died, I felt so all alone.
Yeah.
Because you could always go home,
Right.
but then home ain't there now.
Right.
The home was gone.
Yeah.
You can always go back to home, just like something happened to Sister Harriet.
Right.
You can go back over at war.
But it's not
They ain't
so.
got nothing
It's
in
not-
war.
it's not
ain't
home.
nothing there.
Yeah, it's not home.
It ain't home.
No. I think people make as we said, people make it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You know. And but I think about that with Dad. Like I said, Dad loved you. He
I loved him.
You, Charlie, and Dad done a program every week together, and took thousands of prayer requests from all over the country and prayed for people. and so many testimonies of people that lives were saved
Yeah.
because of healing was prayed for
Yeah.
them. And he loved you, and he thought about you a lot, talked
Yeah.
about you all the time.
I know
Yeah.
he did. I loved
He
him.
did. And
I loved him,
It's
buddy.
something. But when, you know, like
He
I
taught
said,
me a lot. I learned a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I knowed a lot.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot.
he'd come up with, Dad called them formulas. He'd have an idea and have a formula about something. He'd have it, you know, on his mind,
Yeah.
and he'd
Yep.
have something on his mind like that, and he'd share
And
it.
he was right. It was.
Yeah.
It is a formula to it.
It's a formula.
Everything is.
Well, yeah.
it's a formula.
I shared it the other day. I said, if you don't believe in the Bible, you don't believe in heaven, you don't believe in hell. If you would just take the Bible and use it like a rule book,
Yeah. It's still
and
working.
say, all right, handling children, what should I do? Handling my money, what should I do?
That's right.
What I eat, what should I do? And flip it to the index
Yeah.
and just apply that principle to your life.
Yeah.
When it talks about peace and loving people
Yeah.
and forgiveness, these are if you didn't even believe,
Yeah. If you didn't even believe in heaven or hell or nothing.
yeah,
If you just took it and
use
used
it
it.
like a rule book, a
Yep,
handbook.
used it. That's the best one.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the best rule book you can ever
Yeah,
have. I
yeah.
promise.
I think about that a lot. You know, I think about Dad, and I think about the stuff he said. And when Dad passed away, it left a big hole in my life because we talked so much.
Yeah. Y'all
And
commit
we
every
worked
day.
together from the time we were young. I was young. We worked together all the time.
Yeah.
We worked in the coal mines together. Any restaurant I opened, him and Mom were right there with me. Mom working right along beside of him. Everything we done it together.
Yeah.
And so that was a big hole. There was a hole left. And I tell you what I done when Dad died. I lost my ambition.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Keep pushing.
I didn't want to do because I wanted to do stuff to make him proud when I wanted him to see it,
Yeah.
and because I knew it was important to him. The business aspect was important.
Yeah.
And it wasn't important to me, but it was important to him, so it was important to me. But when he wasn't there, it was no longer important to me.
You didn't have no desire to do that.
I just don't. People
Just
come to me
lose your
now with
desire.
ideas and businesses, and I say I'm not really concerned.
People, that's me. I ain't
concerned.
gonna do nothing else.
I
I just tell them
just
I'm
think
done.
I think I'm not really concerned about it. Right now, what I want to do is Janice and I talking about what we're going to fix for supper this evening. I said, well, make me out a list, and I'll go to Food Line with some noodles and some stuff we want to fix, and I'm just excited about that. I don't mind doing that, and it just it's different now. What you look at. I mean,
It is.
I don't know. Well, Charlie, let me answer me this: if you knew there was people listening to you right now and watching you that really would listen to you and take your advice, and we've already talked about not going in debt.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Okay, but I mean, if you knew somebody, see, a lot of times we don't think anybody's listening.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but if you knew somebody was listening, they really were going to do what you said for them to do, what would you leave them with on this?
I think that I would leave them with probably what you just talked about right there in that Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave them with that, to apply those principles to their life, and to apply that to just not to life, it's to everyday living.
Mm-hmm.
If you could follow those principles and rules, just like we talk about formulas, we said a little bit about it, but that right there is a formula that you can use for any situation. I've never run into a problem. I've never run into a problem that I couldn't find the answer out of the Bible, out of the book.
Yeah.
I can always find the answer, and you can. A lot of people, the reason they can't find the answer is because they never read it, and they never talk about it. They never hear about it. But that's if you could apply that, and the instinct within you, you're automatically taught not to steal. I mean, you automatically know it's wrong to steal,
Right.
and to do stuff like that. I mean, it's the reason, because when people get it, they try to hide it and try to make sure nobody sees it,
Yeah.
and that's what happens, But I would use that principle right there. I was kind of like Brother Eddie. My mom and dad, they growed up, and I growed up in a Christian family. My dad wasn't no preacher or nothing, but they went to church every Sunday. They was the church, and I remember in church, we went to Fork Ridge, the old church up on Fork Ridge, up above Red Ash, up there in Raven, where I first told you. But anyway, I remember the things that I heard, and just like Brother Eddie, Brother John was talking about there, that some things are said that you know, that you think nobody's listening. But, you know, I remember listening in that church and stuff. And I still today got those things in my heart. And that's, you know, and I think if you could do that and treat everybody just like, I try to do this. I try to treat everybody like I'd want to be treated. And that's the principle right there that I've tried to do. I never did try to take nobody's money for, you know, not to steal off of them. I never did do that. I told somebody the other day I never did sell somebody a car that I knowed that I wouldn't put my family in. I never did, not knowing it. I mean, something may happen to it, but I never would do stuff like that. And that was my principle that I lived by.
I think if we should, like you're talking about, showing people respect.
Yeah, respect.
And just to ease up a little bit and and show respect.
I had to learn a lot of things. It's like me and Brother Eddie talked about. We had been taught so many different tough ways about Christ and about the Bible and about Christianity. We'd been taught so many things that you had to do. And, you know, it's hard to undo that. Yeah, and that was my hardest thing. Right. Because I've been brought up on the hard Pentecost. Right. I've been brought up. And, you know, I mean, you got to live right to go to heaven. I don't care who you are. Right. I mean, you know, it's like that. But then it ain't quite as hard as everybody put it years ago. I agree now, you know.
I agree, Charlie.
I look back and I could have done better in that area of Charlie. But, of course, I took Charlie with me. I didn't send him. I took him. Right. And that was the difference.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you need to take your kids instead of sending your kids.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Well, I tell you what, I appreciated Charlie coming by. I know he stays busy hunting.
Yeah, I come
not
back,
working.
I come back chase a deer. I left the deer up in the field.
You don't have to pray for the deers he hunts.
Yeah, they're outsmarting me.
They're working a lot better than he is.
They are.
But I appreciate Charlie coming by and being with me. Charlie is he's not a friend, he's my brother.
Yes, I am.
And I've loved him for a long time.
Yep.
Years we just have. I've always loved him, and he's been a friend of mine, and I think that's important. And, you know, friends don't have to be perfect. No. That's why I've got them. Yeah. Okay? They don't need somebody to be perfect. And I think we have to look at stuff, you know, and say, listen, these are my friends. And I think friendship's important nowadays. I think it's missing a little bit. It really is. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you watching. And you've been watching Just From the Shed, the worldwide international edition. You can't find this on NBC, CBS, Fox, none of them. I will not let them have this program. I'm not going to accept their money, and I will not let them buy this program. It's free for you. We call it Just From the Shed. Adios.